So, Steven Spielberg is meeting with the Academy in some capacity within a week to talk about why Netflix movies should not be considered for Academy Awards, especially after Roma received 10 nominations and won for three things. And I fucking hate that idea. I mean, it's gotten so far for Netflix movies to even be considered because it's not like they're a brand new thing. They've been around for years, and only now are anybody really taking their content seriously. And it's really easy to support the idea that Spielberg is going for. I can completely understand why anybody would come on board with this. It's to preserve the theater going experience, the exact same thing that Christopher Nolan has been going on about now that he's making a brand new film for IMAX theaters. I get the logic behind it and the passion that they feel for it. I honestly do. But my problem with that is every time they bring up the issue and talk about how streaming services are digital, therefore inferior, they just come off as being completely pompous and ignorant of the impact that it's given to filmmakers and any artistic content creators out there. Whether it's promoting a diverse demographic that you don't see in art that often, or just trying to make any story and give it to a wide audience, streaming services are a great platform for that. And Hollywood should and is embracing that fact right about now. Roma was planned to be presented in theaters. It was filmed on 70mm in black and white, things that film preservation people are completely going apeshit over in regards to, oh, this is unique, this is different, this is what we want to do. Then freaking do it. Plus, let's be honest here. Roma was put in theaters. People had the option of seeing Roma in theaters, but not enough people because it was a limited release, and only art theaters, if you were lucky to be anywhere near them, got the chance to present them. And I'm ashamed to admit, I was one of those people who could have went to an art theater right by where I work to go see Roma. However, I chose to do it on Netflix because I've accepted the fact that they've overcharged the shit out of us in regards to monthly prices. And it was thinking about the fact that I could have seen Roma in theaters where I got the idea, well, why do more people move on to streaming services than going to the theater? Because I'm one of those people who love going to the theater. I do it like once every week, once every 2 weeks, if there's a really good movie that I want to see. And I thought about it. Why are there times where I don't want to go to a theater? And the biggest one, especially if you're going to see a horror movie, is really simple. The audience is full of morons who just want to sit there, play on their phones, and talk during the entire thing. So yeah, people talk in theaters, and you might wonder, well, gee, why don't you talk to a movie usher? Every time I do, they walk in, the people shut up because they see the usher and they don't want to get in trouble. The usher leaves, they start talking again. During It Comes at Night, I talked to an usher twice before the fucking movie started because they were talking all through the trailers, being really distracting when I'm trying to get sucked into a movie that I would want to see. I've walked up to people before and asked them, can you please be quiet? And sometimes that does work, but I have had times where people just gave me such a hard time because I was ruining the fun that they had, which whoop-de-fucking do. I don't care if you're in an IMAX theater using your cell phone to take a picture of the trailers. Which doesn't even make sense. You could just literally take a picture of it on your phone while on the computer. And I don't know if people knew this, but when you shout out loud, shut the fuck up, I'm trying to watch in the middle of a theater, you're not just making it hard for the people who are distracting you, you're making it hard for all the other people who also want to have a good time and are also being respectful to you, technically. So yeah, talking in movie theaters, that's like the one big one for me. The other big one is that it is becoming unbelievably expensive. I gotta be honest, paying for a ticket, popcorn, and a drink actually costs more than renting Netflix for a month. Yes, technically buying a movie ticket is cheaper than a monthly subscription to Netflix, but that doesn't counter in the fact that there are drinks, food, gas money if you're going a long way to see the movie. And on top of that, if you're getting someone to watch your kids and you gotta pay them, that's another big one too. Travel, lodging, anything like that, those were difficult things for me going to TIFF just to go see something a couple months early. I am a firm believer in people having the option to go to the theater to see a movie and staying home and paying for something legally to see a movie or a show. I'm all supporting that. And to his credit, Spielberg did bring up the suggestion of maybe Netflix movies should be more in the lines of the Emmy nominations for a limited series or movie, and I can kind of see why he thinks it's a good idea, but here's my problem with the limited series and movie categories of the Emmys. They're just as big, if not more of a popularity contest than the Oscars in terms of whether you're awarding representation, whether it be for a good reason or not, or very good quality miniseries or movies. Seriously, it's I'm at a loss of words right now. One big example, at least for me recently, I was a big fan of the miniseries Patrick Melrose with Benedict Cumberbatch. Watch it if you haven't seen it. It's easily the best performance he's ever given in his career. And it wasn't just him that was great. Hugo Weaving, Jennifer Jason Leigh all gave career best performances. The director, the writer, the set and costume designers made something that was completely unique and fresh and something that was completely different, especially for that category. But they lost out to American Crime Story because I don't know. So yeah, do I think putting them in a separate TV category where they have even less of a chance to win is a fair choice? No, I don't. If you want more people to go to the theaters and enjoy your film and have a great experience with it, for starters, complain to the movie theater chains, the ones that you were entrusting half of the profits with, to do a better job at making sure people enjoy themselves and have a good time. Enforce the cell phone rules a lot better. Don't have auditoriums designated for people on their phones. It's a cash grab that's not going to work. Give people more accessibilities. Don't just have closed captioning with devices that are guaranteed to break half the time. Have screenings that have open captions so that people who are deaf and hard of hearing can actually watch the movie. And guess what? Hearing people can watch captions and focus. It's the reason Netflix is so good at having captions in the first place is because they're aware of these situations. Stop having theaters that are designated for single parents or parents who just want an excuse to get out of the house. They can bring their kids, the volume is low, they can be on their phones, which... How does that make you enjoy the movie? Yeah. Anyway, the point I'm trying to say is a lot of the problems that come with people avoiding the theaters is kind of on the movie chain's part, not as much as the streaming part. The other part, which is something that I'm sure Spielberg and many others will not want to admit, is that the movies that they're pumping out just do not have as good of a quality as they used to. If a movie's not very good and a studio is not putting the effort in trusting an artist to create something, then you're losing a ton of money to piracy, to streaming services, to plenty of other things. This all sounds like a lot of extreme rambles, but the point I'm trying to make is that there are a ton of problems that come with theaters and studios losing money because people aren't going to their movies. It has nothing... I shouldn't say nothing. It has something to do with streaming services, but not as much as people are making it out to be. There are so many key factors that go into it, and as you can tell by my ramblings in this video, is that there are so many that need to be addressed individually on their own. So if this video has taught anyone anything, first off, that's weird, I wasn't really planning on it. But if you did, try and take into account as many factors as possible. And the next time you go to a movie, think about all the positive and negative aspects that happened with it. Whether it be the theater chain itself, whether it was the movie, whether it was the people who were accompanying you, how much of a cost it gave you, anything. Just anything and everything.